Hello and good evening wherever you're located. My apologies for being a few minutes late. I The work has started. Pandemic is kind of and sort of maybe hopefully has, but what's happening now is the traffic to it. So I happened to be stuck on highway, so I had to just dive into a parking lot, and that's why we can probably hear the beautiful trees behind me. But I don't want to keep anybody waiting. Stella, as soon as we go live. Further, do you want to welcome us? I'm extremely proud to be joined by RBC Builder Manager Reza Shorey, who manages our pre, and Lorenzo Presudi, our great friend, CEO of a Sharp Appraisal company, who will be asking and helping us about Sharp Appraisal. One of our panel experts, Stella, is about to join us at any second. There are some technical challenges, but Stella is going to be joining us shortly. So as soon as we see the invite on LinkedIn, Stella will be here. So without any further ado, I'm just going to ask questions which I have received from, and I wrote down all of them here. I'm going to ask the questions from one of my panelists, and I'll ask the panel to be specific and get to it. Reza, I'll start with you. First question I got. A lot of builder delays we are hitting. Quickly, what are your thoughts on that?
I reason for the delay. I mean, the first COVID caused a lot of issues. COVID caused a lot of late strike that just happened back in May. Issues and delays. Been some delays. I mean, you also have to remember construction was about everyone there. So sometimes you can people in, foundation people in, and people in, and once you've got your framing people are coming up, and off you go. That was not allowed during kind of time it, and because of that, I think we're seeing. But is it at where it used to go pre-COVID? Not. There's a lot of sites delayed. There's right now the strikes cause some issues there. So yeah, I still think we'll throughout the year. I don't, but it's getting better.
Okay, perfect. Reza, I think you're cutting off on my end, but I've also heard some of the guests are saying that you're cutting off. So Lorenzo, I'm actually going to come to you. Stella, I see your message. You can hear and see us. So if there's a way you can send me a message to log in, and then we go from there. Lorenzo, we'll come to you in the meantime. Quickly, how are the appraisals coming these days? What are you seeing?
So when you're saying how they're coming in terms of value, in terms of, so what I'm going to try to sum as I can, but what we're finding is that happening, let's say 3 obviously are not coming. Everybody knows that the market has for the worst. Interest rates have since that time, and they're pretty high now. Found in the last, I'd say 30 days, some sort of normalcy where we have more data of properties that have 30 to 60 day time period compared where they were 3 or 4 months. And some stats earlier on today, prices are where we were about a year ago. We're still up compared to where we were years ago, but over the I'm starting to see some normalcy. Now we just this rate increase the market.
Okay, so I think a couple of folks are asking or telling me that there's the voice is not that clear, but I think that's probably the internet issues. We're getting a bit of an extra word from you. You guys can hear me clearly, though, Reza and Lorenzo, or am I cutting off as well?
Nope, you're good.
Okay, so I'm good. Okay, so we'll try to continue. Stella is trying to. Okay, so I've been heard clearly. That's what it's saying. Lorenzo and Reza, I think there's guests are saying there's a bit of a complaint. But what will happen that? Okay, so they can hear me clearly fine,
I'm
which is a good
going
thing.
to
Okay,
change my.
there's might be internet issues. Sorry for the technical problem there, but I think this is a great learning. Um, why don't we get back to Stella? So Stella, we should come and talk about the the interest rate. A lot of people have sent me a lot of questions. So to type, because I can see your answers on the screen, and you can type Stella. So, and in the meantime, I'll talk to Reza and Lorenzo. That what are your thoughts on the interest rate? Where is that going? So just Stella, I'm going to ask you, and then I'll show your answer on the screen to the audience. So while you type, in the meantime, I'll come to Reza again. Reza, a lot of folks are saying that this is a good time to buy into pre-construction. We have done a few sessions into that. Again, I don't want to put you in spot on that because it's a very technical question. But what are your thoughts? What are you seeing in the market?
It's 4 6 months ago. I think the reality is, I think we're than we were. I think there was happening. People were kind of tripping over. I think the reality is that now it's probably a great investment for a number of reasons. Right now that we're about to run, it's going to be dynamic and it's going to dramatically, just in Canada. But I think the reality is still a lot behind the homes and homes being built. Coming back to your question around, if you kind of look back and you see the price increase here, they were quick and dramatic. I'll tell you that he was trying to increases there that were happening, but increase to that rate. So is it a great time? Absolutely. Ownership in the real estate market.
Good. So I'm going to ask you, Reza. So some of the listeners are telling me that Lorenzo they can hear clearly, and some of the folks are saying. So I don't know, Reza. In the meantime, you want to switch where you're sitting or whatever the case is, just see if there's more. And Lorenzo, I can. But I asked Stella the question, so I'm actually going to say on behalf of her, she's getting some challenges with the technology. But I asked her a question about what is she thinking in terms of the interest rate or where is the market going. So this is what she's sending me as a message. And Stella, you can all LinkedIn, which I'll post it for everyone to see. But in the meantime, she sent me a message that we're continuing seeing interest rate move up as the government is trying to leverage the fiscal policy to slow down the growth. And at the same time, 300 basis point up, which is a huge number in the industry or outside the industry as well. 300 basis point up in the overnight rate this year already. So this is a very high already, and we are already expect to seeing another one, maybe a smaller increase coming in October as well. And after the October increase, the government will assess that if they need to do further increases are required at that point in time or not. So Stella, thanks. At the same time, you can also type wherever you're typing on LinkedIn. And what I'll do, I'll actually post it for the audience to see as well, Stella, if you can hear me in the meantime. Okay, so here we are. Probably getting a better internet in the meantime, but let's come to Lorenzo. So appraisals, you kind of answered the question. Now, what would you do in terms of appraisal? A lot of people are asking us questions that they want to buy properties now, trying to be local because companies are calling them back to work, right? And those are the bought it in the pandemic. So I'm going to give you an example, right? I'm going to give you an example here. So somebody bought a property for $750 in pandemic. Now they're asking here just to come closer to home. So what would you do from an appraisal standpoint? Would you take the value when they did, or would you take today's value?
So that's a good question. Our mandate is when we're doing appraisals for banks or is that our job is to report what's happening right now. Unfortunately, back a year ago or bought that property. Now they have to sell it. So our defined valid, 60 days to substantial. Now, saying that, that's kind of hard to do. There aren't that many sales, so we have things as well and see if they're between the active listings. Someone is looking to answer your question. If someone sell that house that they purchased, they've got it available today. The value, the price.
Good. Yes. So I think what you're saying is make the decision based on today's value. So if anybody has purchased 2 years ago, 3 years ago, that actually doesn't matter. You want that to be on today's world, right? So I think that's a good question. I don't know if Stella. I'm going to ask Stella a question. Can you hear me? So I'm going to ask her a follow-up question. Okay, I'm asking Stella if she can hear me because I'm going to have the follow-up question, which goes into her side of business as well. Reza, I've also heard in the meantime, some of the folks have run by us that talk a little bit about the builder cap values, because we saw in the news last month, somebody was surprised with the closing cost, $120,000 from the builder. Everybody saw that on CBC News. What is that thing, and how can the clients avoid that thing?
Yeah, I don't know if you can hear me better now. Caps or fees that the builder can add to your closing on your APS. When you are buying pre-con, do you from the documents that you have? That cap it is you want to make sure that at least so don't continue to. So yeah, I know there's been a few recently where people have purchased. These were added on there, and they were also recommend reading it, whether you to them or you just read it over yourself. Advise do your due diligence when you're looking at your document.
Good. Okay. So, Reza, is just make sure the cap and do your due diligence. There's a huge role that the client can pay and the real estate agents can pay, but don't just blindly go sign everything for a friend. Just make sure you are reviewing it by a lawyer or reviewing with somebody else. You got to do your due diligence as well, because when they come pretty hard, right? So if you can hear me, I'm going to ask you a question and you'll type in the meantime. Lorenzo, I'll come to you, okay? So Stella, the question I want you to answer is, what are the mortgage trends you're seeing, Stella, in the market? Is the market still active and is responsible for Greater Toronto West region for the whole mortgage side of the business? So Stella, why don't you type and let me know that what are you seeing in terms of the market sales? Are the sales up? Are the sales slow down? Is the market crashing? So I'll give you a big question. In the meantime, you type. I'll come to Lorenzo for the same question. So Lorenzo, in terms of the activity, as you said, there are a lot of sales. Oh, there you go. Stella is giving the answer. There you go for the audience. Okay, there we go. All right, so I'll read this. Perfect, Stella. This is amazing, right? So we have seen the impact of the rising interest rate on the housing market with some significant slowdown in housing transaction year over year through a slightly softer impact month over month in Toronto. In fact, we were transactions in July to August. Okay, well, that's amazing. It's a great news story, because for all the audience who are watching this, our regional vice president for Royal Bank is actually saying we're up in transaction July 2022 to August 2022, which is phenomenal, by the way, right? So Stella, just a bit of a commentary on that. In the meantime, you can type. Lorenzo, are you seeing, again, the activity from your side as well from an appraisal standpoint, or the activity has slowed down a whole lot?
Well, we've seen it, but let me rephrase that. I'm sorry. Our increase, we're getting a lot of people at appraisal. They've purchased the property, and they're making sure that the appraisal is value. I ran some stat 2 hours ago, and what I did statistically in all the 4 regions, regions: York, Peel, and Durham. Let's say the properties that are TA area, and just ran a quick at under $2 million. And would agree with Stella, where finance of ratio is down below less than 2 months of supply out, which is telling me that people are out there but are not listing their homes. So we're active listings decreasing, but there's also, compared to, let's say 3 months was let's say 3 to 4. Now I'm seeing below 2 months.
Right. Okay. Okay. So you're saying that you're saying the inventory, which is lesser and lesser in the market now. Is that what I'm hearing? Does that mean there's more sales coming in as well?
What that means? Yes, sales compared to where we, but well, for me, what I'm listings on the market. So if someone has bought their home, very few other properties, they're going to sell closer to their because there's less inventory.
Right. Yeah, that's interesting. So I'll try to try to keep it. I know you guys have a busy schedule as well. So Reza, I'll have one more question for you and another one for you, Lorenzo, as well. Stella, I don't know. I'm going to send a message to her if she can hear me now. So in terms of closing comments, so we'll start with you in terms of closing. From now is Stella is having some. Okay, so she's here. Okay, so I'll read. Our apologies, folks. There has been some challenging with Stella's side of the business from IT side, but Stella sent me a stat which is interesting. Okay, perfect. So a lot of folks are saying that I'm doing a good job summarizing it, which is summarizing it. Summarizing, which is a good point. So Stella's actually sent me a stat where August 2021, we actually did sell 10,615 properties. In August 2022, and I want everybody to hear this. And if any listener can put it on this more than, but in August 2022, we have 10,037 in sales. So it's very similar, guys. The situation is not that bad as you compare. I wish if I can show this on the screen what Stella is sending, but what it shows that we're only from August 2001 to August 2022, we're only negative 0.7%, which is not even 1%. So our sales are actually very similar from Treb data, which just sent it to us here. And so sales to new listing ratios are definitely different. But think it through. So when we start to hear about the market is challenging, market is flat, it's very, very similar to 2021 market, right? So thanks a lot for the stat, by the way. And these are the stats Stella has actually got it from Treb. And folks, what they can do is subscribe to the RBC Economics for the great update as well. Another stat Stella is sending me: properties with the days on market are relatively longer now. So last year, properties were almost, Lorenzo, this actually goes back to point as well. There's data she sent it to me where August 2021, there were 21 days properties were staying on the market, and now properties are staying for 34. Right, so a little bit longer they're staying on the market, right? So that's perfectly good. And a lot of listings as well. So Reza, we'll bring it back to you for the final. And anything else you want to talk about pre-construction market in a minute or two, real quick?
I mean, I could talk for hours and hours about pre-construction. Pre-construction is knowing that we've had a strike recently. The round construction costs have continued. If you think your services on pre-con is going to get a lot more expensive, and it's going to continue to get as our immigration continues to open up of immigration. Great rent moved up a lot as well. We've got market. Got a lot of corporations coming up. A lot of people coming into the market right now. I think a lot of these sub markets are doing, and it's going to continue to do well. April, I think, at the pre-construction, a lot of builders have kind of put their stuff on the come out. And once that March, April time, you're going to see a very, very different market in a very
Great point. Yeah. So Reza is saying that construction, if you think is expensive, when the folks start to come in, and Haban, one of our listeners, also posting that it'll be interesting to monitor over the next few months. That is likely when effects will start to show. So in the next few months, we'll start to see effects. So ladies and gentlemen, I mean, I do want to first of all apologize because the technology with us today. I got to be honest with you, because I think Reza and we have done really good shows, but I think today a lot of folks have said that at my end, or there were some technical issues. So I'll talk to the company to find out what really happened here. And Stella was not able to log in. But in the meantime, I do want to really thank you, sincere from the bottom of my heart, to Lorenzo and Reza to really, really spend their time and come and talk about it. Where you shed the light on it. I'll try to record the session and sessions, but it'll be really important for us to close to the appraisal market, stay close to the builder market, and try to keep hearing from the experts. As I said, we will probably come back live again sooner than later, because we totally realized there were some technical issues today. So our apologies. We'll probably talk to the company who's helping us out. Anyways, without any further ado, thank you so much for joining. Have yourself a great day. Thank you, Reza and Lorenzo, for your